I worked for a shitty security company and had just been removed from one site due to a dumbass supervisor. Well, the next day, they called me with a new site to work at, a graveyard for one night. Big graveyard, think it covered maybe a mile in length. It had 3 mausoleums, 2 outdoor and 1 indoor. Huge groundskeeper building and front office along with little sheds here and there for irrigation hubs or something. My job was to drive to certain areas, get out, use a key on a chain in that area on a little timekeeping box thing, and move on. Had to hit each key 1 time an hour. Basically, had enough time to hit each and then start over. The whole shift. Thought the place was pretty neat when I first arrived. Graveyards never made me uncomfortable or afraid. I mean, the people in them are already gone, so why fear them? Well, things changed quickly, right off the bat. I hated the front office. Something about that building made the hairs on my body stand on end. Couldn't even take a leak in the bathroom without looking over my shoulder repeatedly. Honestly, it felt like someone hostile was right there every time I turned around. The thing that made me quit my job that night was the indoor mausoleum. Walking through there about mid-shift, I hear footsteps running up and down the aisles inside. Hurrying my pace, I do a quick check of each aisle, but nothing. No one there. I head down the steps into the basement, turn the key in the box, and head towards the exit. I get about halfway through this time and hear the footsteps again. "Hello?" I shout. I actually didn't really expect a response, but I got one anyway. Sounded like little kids giggling in surround sound. I'm honestly surprised I didn't drop dead right then. It scared me that bad. Needless to say, I ran like a bitch, jumped into my patrol car, and got the fuck out of there. I did the rest of my rounds that night, running through that mausoleum each time. When my relief didn't show, base told me they had someone in or out. I waited 2 hours, called them, and told them I quit. And then I left. I'm a grown man now. Back then I was maybe 23, possibly 24. And to this day, that disembodied sound of child merriment still my top what the fuck moment.
When I was a grad student, I was doing work with one of the university's wind tunnels, and since I was behind schedule, I was doing a lot of experimental runs late at night. One night, it's after 2 a.m, and I've just finished a run with the wind tunnel, and I'm setting up another. I am pretty sure I'm the only person in the building. It's dead quiet, which is a relief because when the wind tunnel is running, it's so noisy, you have to wear ear protection. Suddenly, I get hit by a sudden feeling of the willies. I can't explain it. 1 second, I'm entering run parameters into the computer, and the next, my skin is crawling and my heart is pounding. The hairs on my arm are actually standing on end, and I feel certain that I am no longer alone here. It occurred to me that while the wind tunnel is operating, anybody can slip into the lab without being noticed. The door is locked, but there are plenty of keys. I wander around the lab. It's big and full of large machinery with dark corners behind, and I'm jumping at every shadow I see out of the corner of my eye. It's dead quiet. The only noise is the gentle whir coming from the fan on the computer, and the sound of my footsteps on the concrete floor. I don't find anybody, but the feeling of being watched is now worse than ever. I start shutting everything down, and by the time I do, my hands are shaking. Thank goodness the lab doors are self-locking, because I don't think I would have been able to work a key. I literally just ran out of that building. Schedule be damned, I never worked on the wind tunnels late at night again.
I worked as a cocktail waitress in Las Vegas casinos. Graveyard, 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. Lots of crackheads and methies at those hours. It wasn't on the main strip either. I come around the corner. The girl is skinny and teeny. Her hair is wild. I can't tell her age, but it looks somewhere between 25 to 55. Her skin isn't droopy, but she looks very aged. She doesn't look up at me. She just says, "Cherry Coke," quietly in a monotone voice. I write it down and continue on my way. I don't discriminate. I know she won't tip, but I'll get her the soda. I'll put an extra cherry or two in there too. I come back around and set the soda down. She doesn't react. Still pressing buttons. "It's right here on your side, hun. Watch out for it." I warn her so she doesn't move her hand and accidentally knock it on the floor. I walk around to pick up her trash left on her left-hand side. And that's when I see it. She was wearing modest shorts, but they didn't cover her knees. Her right leg, as bony as the rest of her, was missing flesh. I could see all-white bone underneath where her leg healed over the completely missing chunk of her leg. The rest was covered in decaying flesh and sores. I gagged. For the first time in my life, something visual made me feel sick. I walked away before anything I did made her feel uncomfortable. I'll never forget it. It was 3:40 a.m., and that night was a full moon.
I used to work security back in the early 2000s, mainly event security, but the company would take the occasional odd job. I get posted out on this road expansion. They were linking to major roads through a canyon, building some industrial space. All the work was supposed to be done during the day, as it butted up against some residential apparently. But apparently they were still running trucks at night. I was supposed to just take notes of company, truck numbers, plates, etc., so that the city could deal with it. I'm parked next to the first temporary gate. The surrounding area is all warehouses and offices, and it's decently dark the first night, and I fell asleep pretty much right away. The second night, I actually got a truck, and I had to write down the info, and I fell asleep once more. On the third night, the same company sent a truck guy and saw me sitting in my truck and turned away. For a while, it was like every half hour, a truck would come up, see me, and bone out. Fourth night, I was comfortable being out there, and being alone wasn't even in the back of my head, when I started to hear sounds. I heard that high-pitched whine, like a really fast drone, and it kept getting louder and louder. Then it disappeared. In like 2004 though, that sound was pretty alien. Then it picked up again, but sounded like it was on the other side of the canyon. I'm sitting in my truck, just kind of looking around, pulling out from under the streetlight. I'm sitting in my truck, just kind of looking around, and pull out from under the streetlight in order to let my eyes adjust. Then the lights started winking out in the industrial area on the other side of the canyon. And the lights would go off whenever the sound seemed to enter that general area. And then the sound was gone again. A few seconds later, it was back on my side of the canyon. Lights around my area were starting to go off, and that buzzing was close even though I couldn't see anything. At this point, I was standing outside of the truck, trying to get a good look around. I'm looking in the sky, and looking around the parking lots and streets. Then a building about 2 blocks away goes dark. Then the building next to it goes dark. They're going dark in a straight line to where I'm at, and I run to my truck, lock the doors and get down low. The buzzing drone sound is getting louder and louder. Buildings are getting dark, closer and closer. The street light I was parked under goes out, and it sounds like something is directly above me, but I can't see shit. Then it just goes away, and all the buildings light back up again. Nothing happened the rest of the night. I was booked there for the rest of the week, but called the scheduler and have him move me, telling him it was too boring. I had to do one more night before they could shuffle things around, and I drank a shit ton of coffee, saw a few trucks, but nothing else happened.
Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.